Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Pointy Not Sharp. Today we're taking a look at a pretty interesting and quite difficult to find bayonet, and that's the Dutch model of 1895 Infantry bayonet. It's a pretty long skinny boy. Now this was actually made to fit the 6.5mm model of 1895 Mannlicher rifle that was in issue with the Dutch army in the Netherlands. So abroad they used a different bayonet, and this bayonet will also not fit the carbine, because the carbine actually has its own unique bayonet that's longer to make up for lack of reach, and has its own unique pommel as well, which is sits sideways essentially to make it more comfortable when slung, as a cavalry soldier is likely to do. Now these were made by a number of different manufacturers. So initially they were made by, between 1895 to 1905, they're made by OEWG or Steyr in Austria. They're made by WKC, Weisberg, Kitschbaum and Co. in Solingen, Germany. And they're made by Alexander Kopel in Solingen, Germany as well. From 1904 through to about 1940, they were actually made domestically in the Netherlands by the Artilleria in Richtingen. Please forgive me for that. They operated under their trademark, which was Hembrug, which I believe is the name of a bridge or something. That, yeah, you can look into that. I didn't look too deeply into that. Now, as I said, this bayonet was used by the Dutch army for a number of years. Their colonial forces did use something differently, the nil bayonets, which I've got one of those actually coming up in another video. I'm very excited about that one. They're even scarcer than these. But this one's in fantastic condition, minus the frog, and the scabbard's a bit average too, but leather isn't supposed to last for 130 years, so I'll cut it some slack. Now, in 1940, many of these were actually captured by Germany during the Second World War, and they were actually shortened down, so you'll find these with cut down blades. I can't remember the exact length. I haven't got my hands on one, but I'll find out and see if I can chuck in the description. And they were designated as the Zeitengewehr 102H, H for Holland. So pretty much whenever Germany captured a foreign bayonet during the Second World War and reissued it, they would designate it as a Zeitengewehr, and they'd be numbered 101, 102, 103, 104, or 105, depending how many that country had, and then in brackets a letter designating which country, so H for Holland, or you might have F for France. Now I'll jump into the construction of this bayonet because it's pretty unique. There's not too many others like it. Now, it's a very, very light blade. I'd be very worried about snapping it and bending it because it feels very, very frail, brittle, not brittle, light. I'd be quite concerned about it. But you'll see it actually has a T-blade, so similar to like the French FA model 1874 or the Gras bayonet, where it's got a nice flat surface at the top and then a T, so it's got a blade coming out of that. And down on the pommel, you'll notice it's got like a big blocky pommel, very similar in shape to the patent 1888 bayonet as used by the British. I don't know why the Dutch adopted that. They were pretty much the only ones, but it's a very uniquely Dutch pommel. But looking at the blade, it's got a nice rich blue to it. Then moving down to the crossguard, exactly what we'd expect to see. One solid piece. We've got a muzzle ring, and here we actually have a hook quillin. Now these hook quillins were only manufactured until 1900, so the first 4 or 5 years of production. And then they stopped manufacturing those, and they just essentially made it like a P1907 with just that piece deleted. Moving down, we've got really nice wooden grips. Like, I really like the wood in these. It feels fantastic. It looks fantastic. And they've got a very unique locking mechanism. So they have a metal bracket on either side, And then they have this screw, which can only be removed with a special tool. So I imagine underneath here, you just have the one hole. I can't imagine it'd be too different than that. And as I previously discussed, the pommel, it's that pattern of 1888 style with the single push button, as we're familiar with most bayonets. And what's interesting about this one is, you might have to take my word on it, my lighting's rubbish today. We've got a hole down the bottom there for the cleaning rod, or I imagine for the cleaning rod for the rifle, similar to what a Mauser bayonet would do. So that's the bayonet. It's quite nice, I like it. The blue is absolutely gorgeous. This one had a fair bit of corrosion on it and I had to give it a bit of a clean up. You could probably do with a little bit more, but I'll get to that later. And moving down, looking at our scabbard. So we've got a leather scabbard stitching down one side, and we've got a little brass piece fitted at the bottom. This is usually wrapped by like thread or something like that, but that's long gone on this. And our Dutch frogs have this very unique shape here. I don't know what to call it. They're very small, very slender. It's the same as what you find on the nil bayonets, and they're very difficult to find these in good condition. I saw one pop up on eBay recently. I regret not getting it, but it was going for a little bit more than I wanted to pay. This one's not in the best condition, as you can see. We've got a snapped hilt strap, and belt loop's just completely gone. The leather's crumbling. You could probably do with a nice application of cellular gel to revitalise that and prevent it from deteriorating any further. There's something to moisturise the leather to stop it from cracking and drying out. Now, you don't find too many markings on these, just essentially what you'd expect to find on any bayonet, really. So you'll have your manufacturer's mark on the left ricasso. So here we've got OEWG for Steyr, so Austrian manufactured. But for the other manufacturers, you'd expect to see WKC for Weisberg, Kirchbaum & Co. Or A with a set of scales, and then C for Alexander and Kopel. And as I previously discussed, if it's the indigenously made or produced, it'll be Hembrug, and they will just be stamped across the ricasso. And on the reverse, we've got a inspector mark, and that's a letter underneath a crown. That's on the ricasso, and you'll also find that down here on the pommel. There are records out there which outline which inspector had which letter, but I wasn't able to find who T was, so I don't know. But these inspectors actually travelled to Austria and Germany to inspect them in factory while they were being produced, or after they'd been produced, where they applied their stamp. And then, like most bayonets, we just have a serial number across the crossguard. I don't know if they're matching rifles. I assume they would be. This one doesn't have a letter prefix. I don't know if later ones did. This one is a very early number, so 7,000. I don't actually know how many of these were produced total, but I'd imagine somewhere between the 50 to 100,000 mark. I don't know. But 7,000 just seems like a very low number to me. And there's also a couple of other strange little markings I've noticed on this one. Like we've got I'll just take it out of camera for a second here. A little K with a circle around it. I'll put a photo up so you can see that clearer. And yeah, I think that must be some kind of production number, because you tend to find those at all your European bayonets, really. Just odd little numbers. I assume they're production numbers or quality assessment during production. I don't know. And looking at photos of other people's bayonets, it's quite common to find a serial number stamped across the leather in the scabbard. However, this one is too far gone, and definitely can't make it out anymore. But no, I quite like this bayonet. This one's not mine. I definitely want to add one to my collection. This one's very unique in that it's got the hook quillen, so it's a very early manufacture. And being OEWG, I love everything OEWG. They're probably my favourite manufacturer. I could honestly just collect everything made by them. I'll try not to, because they manufacture stuff for everyone, export stuff for all over the world, so that's very, very extensive. Anyway, guys, that's probably all I have to say about this bayonet here. Absolutely gorgeous piece, beautiful blue, holds up really, really, really nicely, and I really like the grips too. But if I've missed anything or made any mistakes, please feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.